So it's like, I think people think you have to just look at the scripture, look at it biblically, historically, and like, you know, contextual. You know, you have to be contextual. Like, well, he was speaking to the Israelites and at this time, and this is what that meant. But it can mean other things as well, you know, especially if God steps in and is like, this is what I'm actually saying.
Yeah.
Who are we to question God?
Yeah.
So that's my challenge, is like, yes, you are right, but what if you can be right and Bill Johnson is also right at the same time, because the Lord gave him a slightly different perspective.
Yeah, that's good.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think if we come out of like, let's beat each other down and tell each other how wrong we are. Everybody wants to be right. And if we drop that and just come together and love one another and really become the bride of Christ, we just might see the glory of God pour out on the earth. You know? Yeah,
you're right.
We just might see him pour his spirit out on all flesh, because now the bride is ready.
Yeah.
She has made herself ready.
Yeah, that's good.
You know?
I mean, that's actually kind of convicting, because like, even sometimes when, I don't know if this is like, will this be heard or anything, but maybe, anyways.
Yeah, will this be, Manny?
Will this be heard, maybe?
Okay, let's do it. Okay. We're diving in.
No, but I do have conversations with people who have maybe more broad mindset of God, and I get kind of like, I guess, protective, which I don't even really need to be protective of God. Like, he's big, he's powerful, he can handle himself, but I get kind of like, well, that can't be right. And I get kind of fired up. And then these are people that are actually close to me and I love. Yeah. And I catch myself, I'm like, I probably should just like chill out a bit. This is recent. I don't want to say anything, just in case. But recent, I'm like, man, why do I get so like, you're wrong? I get like that. I'm like, you're wrong. Because I'm normally, I mean, for the majority, I'm pretty like flexible in my mind, but like there's certain things, I think because a part of me, maybe it's the fear, you know, because control comes from fear.
That's true.
So I think I'm afraid of this person believing that and something happening to them, or like convincing me. It's almost like a fear of being manipulated, a fear of like being, convinced otherwise, which actually makes sense about even today with America. Like, I don't want to go into politics but I won't. But like the people don't want to hear all sides of information, because they're afraid to be manipulated. They're afraid to be controlled. But in reality, no one can actually control you. That's actually a lie in the end. Like, literally no one can, like, the only way that could slightly is like to hold you down. But then you can also like find ways to like kick them in the areas that will like make them like go, you know. So like in reality, no one can actually control you.
Yeah. I mean, the only way that the enemy can control you is if you partner with that lie or that altered truth.
That's true. That's good.
And because a lot of us end up, you know, right now I'm kind of going through the John Eldridge Walking with God series on Audible, and a lot of that talks about how we just subtly partner with certain lies, you know, and God revealed to him, was like, hey, there's something going on with love, when he couldn't sit down and get going with his day and start writing his book. And, you know, there was a blockage, and you know, turns out probably 20, 30 years ago, he had got to come back to a moment where he had partnered with the idea that he could never be loved, and love never stays. It never sticks around. Yeah. Through losing his brother, or like certain events, or, you know, a boyfriend or girlfriend walking out on you, or, you know, whatever it is, you end up partnering with these lies subtly. And then that's how the enemy does. He like plants the seed and then waits 20 or 30 years later, and then takes a hold of your heart and your being, and you can't move forward in certain areas, and you don't know why. I'm discovering that right now, where I'm having to go through a series of things where the Lord's like, get rid of this, get rid of that. And it's just like, wow, it really is a refining process. Yeah. Where, you know, I look at it as an analogy of the Lord's taking you through a time of boiling, where you take gold and then you boil it down, and all the impurities rise to the top until there's nothing left but pure liquid gold, you know, and you're able to shape and form and do whatever you want to do with it from there. But
that's good.
I
like that analogy.
Yeah. You know, so there's something happening where I think there is like people feel like they're scared of, you know, something else being true, you know, or wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
it's true.
I will tap into politics a little bit. You know, there's some things going on politically, especially recently, where I think we had it wrong. And it's okay to be like, I think we had that wrong.
Yeah.
When you look at recent video footage and evidence and you go, wow, that wasn't like they painted it at all, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even the conversation we just had out in the hallway.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
The snow and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's hard to.
And then media, you know, I heard them getting into this discussion on CNN the other day where they were like, you know, this is not fair that they leaked the footage to this media, you know, franchise and not the rest of them. And, you know, and I was like, well, maybe it's because you kind of grew to a place where people couldn't trust you anymore because you started reporting what you wanted to report instead of reporting the facts.
Yeah.
And so until we get away from trying to control the narrative, because we don't want to be wrong. We want to control it. So because we don't want to be wrong, we take our hands and we try to mold something into what we think it should be. Yep. Instead of allowing it to get out there and let people extract from it what they need to and figure it out on their own. That's what the news used to be. When I grew up, like, certain news stations were just, that's what we watched. Yeah. We relied on them. Yeah. And then now you can't. You know, it's like you got to go to YouTube. They say that YouTube is now #1 for like where people get their information, and Twitter.
Oh, I haven't heard that, but I believe that.
Yeah, there's a statistic. They took a poll, and everybody's like, I don't trust the big guys anymore.
Sense. Yeah.
You know, and because these other channels are just like, oh, this is what happened. Yeah. They just put the article up there and then let you kind of like, we're just informing you. Yeah. That's what it should be. Yeah. You know, and so I think we can't. It's the same way with the Bible. Like, we look at it and just be like, oh, well, you know, contextually this and that. And it's like, I totally understand it, but it is possible for people to get other things that mean something to them different than what you got. Yeah. That's the beauty of it, you know? It's like God doesn't move in just one way. You know, we see it around the world. Yeah.
It's interesting too, because I think the thing, I could be wrong about this, but it feels almost like media is thinking that we're like humans are dumb. So I need to spell it out. And they're doing that in film now. It's not all film, but like, oh, you're dumb. Here, let me tell you how to live. But the truth is, no one is dumb. Like, I miss the narrative of learning screenwriting and being like, remember, your audience is smart. You can show them you grabbing something and they'll know, oh, that has something to do. Like, we're not dumb. Like, people are not dumb. Yeah. And so I think, like, that's why things are unfolding and people want to know the facts, because they're like, wait, I want to make my own decision. I want to know, like, that doesn't make sense. Or like, wait, why did they choose that? There's always layers. Like, I miss the layers of everything. I think the main thing is, I think media thinks that people are dumb.
Yeah, or we're
maybe
children.
The word, children. I mean, I don't know if dumb's the right word, but
sometimes they do, though.
Maybe naive is even.
Yeah.
But we can be naive. That's true. I don't know if but you're a child. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, they treat you like your children.
Something closer to the word.
Like, you have to spoon feed them, you know, and then you have to spoon.
That's good.
Then you control, like with a child, you control what goes in their diet, what they eat. You control their schedule, their time, and that's what they're trying to do.
Moldable.
Oh yeah, and
like what you're saying. Yeah,
exactly. Because I think if what you're saying is right, you will just share your piece and then allow people to extract from that whatever they need. Yeah, and you know, that will let it be what it is. You know, but because there's a fear of being wrong or people won't accept what you're saying, then now I'm going to have to force it on you. And so that's what we're in like forcing things, and so. Yeah. That's why you see so many movies crashing and burning. They're not doing well at the box office. It's crazy.
Yeah, so many.
Even movies with big stars attached to it. You know, you're like, you think that would have exploded, and it turns out it's weird to see headlines saying Black Adam was a failure. Yeah. How? Yeah. But it's so I think we've changed things so much to where we're trying to control writing. We're trying to control the creative process because we just don't want. We're afraid of people rejecting our work, but you can't be. You just have to put it out there. Van Gogh went for it. He just painted incredible pictures, and now they're celebrated throughout history and time. Maybe not at the moment. There's a lot of artists who weren't celebrated in their time, but it was until they passed on. There's a whole saying, when you pass on, then your works live on forever. Yeah. But there's very few artists who are celebrated,
Yeah, that's true.
in time. So anyhow.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, a good friend of mine's.
We could go on and on and on.
A good friend of mine's is here today. Guys and gals.
Yeah.
We have an awesome friend who is an actor, singer, filmmaker, author, and dreams coach, and has a BA degree in English literature from Indiana University.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Colleen De Silva.
Thanks.
Yes.
Colleen. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, Colleen.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Thank you. Good. I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to hang out with you.
Yeah.
I mean, we already just started like chit chatting, but
right.
It's so good to hang out and talk creative stuff and dreams and what God's doing. And
you're probably one of the most creative people I know.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, look at all this stuff. Look at all this stuff.
I know it's a lot of so that's the big list on social media. But everyone's like, you need to pick one. You need to focus on it. I'm like,
why?
1 + 4.
Right. 50 Cent don't do just one.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not happy with just one. So.
There's so many people who are doing multiple things these days, and so I don't think you have to just do just one. I think Solomon was wise. He was a worshiper, but he was also a man of wealth and business, and there's a lot of things. So I don't think you have to just do just one, but I think it's impressive because you can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's so creative.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
There was a point when I probably a year or two ago, before we started having children, I was like, man, should I just focus on one? But then I was praying and God was like, how do you do when you just focus on one thing in the day? I'm like, I don't do very well. I do well, if I have at the desk a computer for something I'm writing on, a hard copy of something else, and then a scene that I'm working on for acting. Because what I'll do is I'll focus on this thing, and then it'll inspire me for another thing. So I'll do that, and then I'll go back. I multitask.
Yeah.
And I know some people are like, oh, you never get done, but I do. I mean, I got that done. I've gotten other things. So I'm like, it's working. So far, so good.
So tell us about your book a little bit.
Yeah.
It says Your Dream Journal.
Yes, it's your dream journal.
Right, it's my dream journal. Nighttime dreaming with steps, tips, and definitions.
Yeah. Yeah, so this basically, I have a lot of nighttime dreams, and God has guided me a lot, has given me warnings, has encouraged me in my nighttime dreams. So I just... when the quarantine happened, I was sitting down with him. I was like, what are some things I could work on while I have the time?
Yeah.
And this was one of the things.
Wow.
And the idea for this book is to help people have very simplified ways to understand their dreams, because I've read several dream books, and they're overwhelming. Some of them I didn't even finish reading because I was like, there's too much here. I just wanted to know what this dream I had last night meant. Yeah. So this idea was to simplify, condense, and get to the point for basic dreaming. Obviously, if you want to go really in depth, there's books in the back that I recommend.
Okay.
From Doug Addison. He has a book. I can't remember the names right now, but there's a few other books in there.
Steven?
So Doug Addison endorsed actually the book. He has a little quote, and then my father-in-law, Colleen De Silva, my mother-in-law, Donna.
I didn't know he has a book.
Yeah. So so those are the endorsements. The books of the dreams.
The books are in. Okay.
I'll show you. He doesn't have a dream.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But that would be great.
Yeah.
Where is it?
So Doug Addison, though.
Doug Addison has a book.
He's a prophet. Is he still here in LA?
Yes, he is.
Wow.
He is. So these are the book recommendations I have in the back. But
because I had one I bought years ago before I started going to Bethel.
Okay.
And it had colors and numbers and what they mean, and car often means ministry.
Yeah.
Or
a light. It typically is ministry, but another is aspect of your life, because it takes you somewhere.
Yeah.
So in dreams, I'll just give a quick brief, but what I've learned with dream interpretation is you can literally boil down to what the object is to you and in your life. A car takes you somewhere.
Yeah.
So if you're in a car, it's you're going to a place. So it's your process in life to get to where you're maybe a dream or somewhere God's called you.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, but yeah, so that's the hope for the journal, is to help people. And then the second half of the journal is actually pages where you can write down your dreams.
Oh,
and I give a dream sample in there too, so you kind of know. Yeah.
Oh, so like people can kind of see an example of, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, how to use the pages, which honestly they can like draw pictures on the pages. It's not really like a formula, but it's just so you are encouraged to steward your dreams. Because actually, Chris Valentin, when I was in first year, he spoke about dreams, and he said, if you want dreams every night, you have to start stewarding them. And so
you really do.
You do.
Yeah. When I was at Bethel, the Lord took me through a season through that. And so that's
cool.
Before I started going as a student, and I think it was around 2002. I guess it was summer of 2003.
Okay.
I was at the Reading bookstore, not the Eagle Nest bookstore. That's actually with Bethel.
Okay.
But it was a bookstore in Reading, and I just went there and I got like a brand new Bible and some other books. A Song of Solomon book, which I didn't really know at the time was for couples.
Oh,
and all my friends would be like, why do you have that? Because I'm like 19 years old, no girlfriend in sight. Like, they're just like, what? That's for couples. I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, I made a mistake. But, and then the other book I bought was a dream interpretation book. That's cool. That book just blew my mind, and it blew a lot of things open. And because I would have at the time, I was not only having dreams, but I was having visions, what people call open visions.
Yeah, that's great.
And so I would go and travel to other countries and meet people to the point where I can describe to you in T what they're, down to a T, like what their cups look like, what their clothing look like. And one time I went to Egypt, and I had met with this like emperor and all this stuff like that, and like the president. It was a crazy thing. I won't get into the whole thing, but
that's cool.
I remember meeting a poet from Egypt at a worship conference that I was playing for, and I started describing to him the experience, and he was just like, he's like, my friend, he was like, dude, you have totally been to Egypt. That's what he told me. I described to him what the local newspaper looked like, and he was like, you like literally went to Egypt.
That's incredible.
And that's when I realized, I was like, oh wow, like I have like an Egyptian confirmed my experience had to be true.
Yeah.
And that's when I just started, learning to write things down. I got different journals designated for, I had one journal for like encounters with God, one journal for dreaming with God, and another journal for my daily thoughts or whatever.
Okay, that's cool.
And then another journal for songwriting.
Yeah, of course.
I think it was a Superman book.
That's awesome. I love that.
But anyhow, there was something about when I wrote things down, they seemed to increase and come.
Yes.
And then that's when I started going deeper, and I went into stuff like, the Lord started showing me like what's going to happen in the end times, and like,
wow.
And I started sharing this with my leaders around me, like Benny Johnson at the time. Bethel logged 2 or 3 of them, and they put it away in a file cabinet. Wow. And years later, they said we're still pulling stuff from just the one dream in 2003, but then the rest of them were still. Cool. And so then that's when I realized, okay, there's something real here. And so, but it seemed to be the more I wrote down, the more God was able to trust me with more. So I really agree with you wholeheartily. I've gotten away from that now. So I need to find my way back to dreaming and writing things down. But yeah, I'm going to actually dive into your book here, because this is like, I
love all that. I love open visions, and oh my gosh, I could talk about that all day.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if I've visited, I felt like heaven before, honestly, in like vision and open vision as well. Other places, I've heard other people's stories like what you said. I think anything's possible with God. And I think that, I love hearing that stuff. That's cool. I didn't know that about you. So that's really cool.
It was something kind of secret. I didn't like advertise it too much. So what I would do was share it with my leaders, because I wasn't sure of it. Yeah. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, totally.
And because I could share stuff with you. You're like, oh my gosh, that's insane. Like, are you for real? Like, sometimes people don't know how to take that. Yeah. So, I had to be careful, like, who I shared it with. So I just went to my leaders, and my leaders were like, dude, this is insane. Like, some of the dreams and stuff that I shared today, like, they're just now coming. Wow. I saw this stuff years ago. Like, I saw how I was going to get married, so I knew I was going to get married in LA.
Wow.
Because I saw the end of time one time.
Wow.
God took me all the way to the edge of time, and I saw how my whole life was happening. But it was not even just my life was just a little timeline within that those sequence of events.
Yeah.
But it was showing what was going to happen around, and so I was just like, wow.
That's cool.
So there's a few friends I shared it with that I trusted, but. They would always still call me to this day and be like, dude, this just happened. Remember you said that a long time ago? And I was just like, I didn't say it. God said it through a dream.
Yeah, that's cool.
And sometimes it'll just be like a 20, 30-minute nap between service. They have like the night service, back in the day.
Yeah.
And between the morning and the night.
That's cool.
And so it would just happen in a quick, little encounter. But no, I really think you're on the money with that. It's just like there's something about writing it down.
There is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. If these guys never would have written down their revelation of the Bible, we would never have that book of life today. If Moses never would have etched in the tablets, the 10 Commandments, we would never have these morals and principles and things statutes that we live our lives by.
Yeah, that's good.
Or create government systems on, thou shalt not kill, steal,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true.
So,
that's a good point. I've never thought about that, but yeah, that's great.
How did we first meet? When
I know.
First?
Okay, how did we first meet?
Let's tell the people.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
How long ago was it? Well, I went to Reading in 2011. Did we meet? It was 2011 or 12 because you were in Papa Shaba.
Papa Shaba.
And I was the co-writer. I was the writer, but I was like the ghost writer kind of, and then
right.
But yeah.
Okay, you were ghost writer for Papa Shaba?
I was the screenwriter for Papa Shaba.
Oh my
I don't think we actually met though, but maybe we did.
We did because
yes, we did.
I rejected it 4 times, and because I wasn't like really trying to be an actor then, and it was like. Even Diane, she had prophesied over me and gave me her card to tell her to reach out to her agent, but I never did. So she was
I was there when she did that, Matt and Joyce, right? Yeah, I was totally there. So I probably met you then. But anyways.
But I remember when I finally accepted to do the Papa Shaba student project, we went walking through scouting areas to shoot, and I remember I got to talk to you a little bit there in the downtown strip mall. The outside mall. Yeah. And then we went through a neighborhood too. I remember we were shooting something.
Oh yeah, Matt and Joy's neighborhood.
Yeah, it was like Brandon Shraven and a few other folks. And so
he directed it.
And then after that, I think I heard one of your songs.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think I heard one of your songs because you used to kind of perform too.
I used to perform all the time.
Right,
At a cafe, a couple cafes.
So I was going to say I remember a cafe.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I might have done the song at that one of the cafe events you were at too.
Oh, there was an event at Bethel. It was like a talent show.
Okay.
I wonder if you did that.
I always emceed all those talent shows.
Yes. And I did song there.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was what I was pursuing was songwriting.
Yeah. You're a good songwriter. So you had a great voice too. I remember that is so cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and what was it? Bethel School did the talent, like the weekly or monthly shows.
Was it Arts in Motion?
It was something like that. I don't remember, but I remember I used to play at those a lot.
Yeah.
And I think I remember seeing you play at those.
Well, I used to MC.
Oh, you used to MC.
Yeah, it's Arts in Motion, which was Teresa Dedman started.
Oh, yeah.
That was cool. When we did the bazaar. We did the bazaar where there was like a lot of artists would show up with their, jewelry and arts and painting and sculptures. Yeah, and then we have live performances. Me and Courtney started MCing those together.
Oh my gosh, Courtney.
Yeah, Courtney.
She's in town.
Oh, is she in town?
Yeah, I saw her the other day.
We gotta get her on the podcast.
I know. Oh my gosh, you should totally.
Okay, I'll have to reach out.
She'll come back.
Okay.
So she comes here a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, that's crazy. So we met back in 2011.
But we really got to know each other, I think 2012 or 13, because you were in, we put you in when Corey and I started dating, we did the shorts for the film festivals that you were in.
The little Lord of the Rings.
The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay.
And then, because you would play like the security, I think, right? The security guard. And
I think so.
You were like chasing him.
Yeah, I was chasing. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's so funny.
We did like 2 different episodes or shorts of that.
Because Joy and Matt there started the film festival.
Yeah.
Fire Reel Film Festival.
Fire Reel Film Festival.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then after that, we did a film together.
Yep, we did a film together.
Sands of Ikra.
Sands of Ikra.
Yeah.
Yep, Rachel and Daniel Nichols.
Yeah.
And then you moved out here before we moved out here in LA. And
Yeah.
I met your now wife. I remember. Yeah. Do you remember when Corey and I visited LA and we hung out with you too?
That's right.
At Starbucks or something.
Beverly Hills.
Yeah, we went to Rodeo Drive.
Yeah. It was like 16-year-olds driving like it was like $200,000 cars and stuff.
Gosh,
I was like, it's insane. Was that like a 15 or 16-year-old? Well, you could tell they're like oil chic kids.
Yeah. Gosh.
Like, wow.
Having that. Oh my gosh.
I know, right?
At that age, like those parents trust those kids.
Yeah, well, they
it's
just
like beat up vehicle. Yeah,
they just wreck them.
That's true.
Yeah, most of the 16-year-olds just wreck them. At least the first time.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So we've known each other for 10 years.
Yeah.
11, 12, so.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's cool. I didn't realize you saw me play music. It's like I haven't done it as much lately. I'm starting to do it again.
Okay.
I'm starting to, at least some videos I've been posting, and then I'm like, I've been feeling like God is like, I've been having a lot of dreams with me singing, and I do like kind of, it's not really rap, but it's like spoken word when I sing it, and I've been dreaming about that. So I feel like God's like, you need to put that back in your life.
Yeah.
Because the way I used to do, like when I started songwriting when I was 11 years old. Like on paper, I'd like write loads of different like song ideas. But then when I turned 12, my dad gave me a guitar. I'm just diving in.
Yeah, absolutely.
My dad gave me a guitar, and I kind of learned it, but then it collected dust. And then he died when I was 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so after that, my mom was like, okay, let's get your dad's guitar. I'm going to put you in lessons. Yeah. And that's when I actually started to put like music to my songs. And it was a way for me to grieve, honestly. Like I would literally sit on the guitar and I'd play like a few chords that I had learned, like C, G, D. And I would just like improv sing how I felt. And it was like a prayer to God, honestly. Wow. It would sound awful, it would be depressing. And then by the end of like the song, probably about half an hour, literally, it was just me singing out. I'd start to like sing happier things. And then sometimes I would write a song or like start a written song. Wow. And it helped me get through my teenage years, because I ended up having like a best friend pass too when I was 16. She died in a car accident. And,
oh, man.
And we also hadn't really talked in a while because we were like going through like our teenage like arguments and stuff. Oh, okay. So it was like a really hard thing.
Like upset with her.
Yeah, it's like, I'm so mad at you.
Yeah.
And then that happens. And so, so again, the music really that literally probably saved me, because I was definitely struggling with like depression and stuff. Like I'm a pretty positive person in general. And so that, I think, helped me walk through all that. But, man, if I wasn't able to express myself through singing, I think that would have been harder for me to walk through my teenage years. So, but yeah, I was like, I'm going to be a singer. I made a contract with God that said, dear Lord, if I become a famous pop singer, I want to be like Britney Spears back then. I promise to share my wealth. And I like signed it and stuff. Like I was like really serious, but then I just, it sounds sad talking about it, and like, oh, you're not doing it now, but and then I discovered filmmaking. Yeah. So, and I'm like, oh, that includes music, acting, writing, everything that I love.
The whole thing.
So, wow. That's, So, and I think, and then Corey and I write songs together too, which is really fun. We haven't been doing that lately because we have a baby.
He's talented too, man.
Yeah, he's so talented. Cow. He also acts, writes. He's pursuing screenwriting a lot right now. But he's a singer, songwriter. He with music though, oh my gosh, he literally will hear a melody. He's one of those like can play by ear, and he'll just like play it on the guitar. Or like we have a xylophone that we got for our son, and he like plays like the Harry Potter theme song. He's like, dude. I'm like I wish I had that gift. Like I could do like the songwriting and like original stuff and different. I have my own gift, but I'm like, people who can hear like something and then just play it, I'm just like, that is a gift. That is a true gift.
You know, yeah, it is.
Can you do that? Because you do music. I'm very curious.
That's the only way
That's so awesome.
That's the only way, because I'm mainly a drummer. But yeah, I started hearing music at an early age, and so I didn't have any formal training. I still don't know music theory to this day, and I have to use an app to tell me what key the song is in. For my own songs. Yeah. But I just play what I hear.
That's cool.
I hear like a whole melody from heaven, and I compose it all together.
That's so cool.
And I just look for the harmonies and all that stuff,
It's interesting, like, I mean, I know the world might be like, oh, you need to learn sheet music, that sort of thing. But, I mean, who made the sheet music? That wasn't always around.
That's right, yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's cool. It shows that you don't have to have what you have, but I think it's a beautiful gift. And then people who don't have that, have the sheet music, can learn through paper, can like work hard and do it, and that's encouraging to me. That's something that I'm learning. Like, you don't just have to have this gift. You can also like work hard and learn and do well.
Yeah, that's what I want to do next, because all my friends who like had the gifting, they went to university, like Charles Jones. I mean, this guy who's like a prodigy, but he went to university, refined it, and now he's even more of a prodigy. You know, wow. And so everybody I know, even my friends who they ended up on the drum magazines at 15 and 16.
Oh wow,
best drummers in the world at the time. And
that's amazing.
They were being sought out after all these bands and. But there was something about them taking their raw talent of naturally playing by ear and then going through school and then like refining it.
Yeah,
and then
that's good.
They went on to do like big albums or films and so I'm like, there's something to be said about like you said, learning.
Yeah, that's good.
There's some people who do it just by ear still, and they've already, I guess, quote unquote, made it. We're listening to their music, but I'm sure there's tons of artists out there who are like, I don't really know that stuff, but I just still put music out, and then they have their own fan base. We all listen to it. But the artists who really make an impact seem to be the ones who allow themselves to learn the craft, the fundamentals, the notes, the theory.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so I think at some point I do want to put theory underneath my belt, and then I think it's gonna propel.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely been learning like things take time, and hard work is as important as like anything. I don't know. I think I do know. What am I trying to say? Basically, what I'm realizing is I used to believe like if it's easy, then it's true and it's good. But I'm learning it doesn't always have to be easy to be good and true. Yeah. And I don't know I think that's a theology maybe like the generation before us had, like, oh, if it comes easy, then that's fate. And like I used to think that, but now I'm like, actually, like, I know there's so many stories in the Bible where things weren't easy. Like David, for example. I mean, he was thrown into the wilderness running for his life, but he was still supposed to be king. Like, he could have been like, oh, I'm being chased for murder. Maybe I'm not supposed to be the king. Like, this is a sign from God because bad things are happening that I shouldn't be doing this. And that's something that, like, I used to think, like, oh, if it's not coming easy, don't have the favor there. Like, the favor doesn't always look good, maybe. You have to go back to God anointed him as king as a child. Like, oh, that's that God did that. So that's the faith. That's where your faith comes in. Yeah. And that's something that I'm having to like push through and be like, okay, it looks like maybe so I'm like, Lord, direction. Am I going the right direction? But he always like takes me back to, what did I say here? I'm like, okay, faith. That's another aspect of a relationship with God. It's like, you got to have faith that what you told me and what you promised me is going to happen. Yeah. So I'll keep working hard. I'll learn. Like, I'm still having to learn, like, acting and comedy, acting, like improv, go to school, do this, that. Yeah. Learn different things. So, but I mean, I didn't know I'd go into this conversation, but I do still think playing by ear is like a huge gift for music, because there's something there, like, but I do think, like what you're saying, I would love to see what would happen in your life with music as you like learn the theory, because it would probably be like, I mean, it's already amazing, and imagine like adding that. It's just like,
knowing what you're playing and why you're playing it, and knowing the best way possible playing it, because when you can kind of like not know one musical scale but know multiple, like pentatonic and all these different ones, it's like chromatic. When you know and learn all these scales, like you're like, oh, there's a Middle Eastern scale, let me try to play that now and see what happens. And then you're like, whoa, it's like it opens up all these new worlds that you didn't know before, because before you just play what you hear in your head and you're just like, okay, which is still cool. A lot of my music came from just playing out of my head, and pretty much everything, honestly. But I don't know. I just always wonder, like, if I were to really challenge myself and like learn theory, what could happen, And I look at some of my friends who are like really killing it in the industry and doing a lot of sessions. I just, it's easy. They're able to do the sessions because of the theory. Partner with the gift. I guess there's this thing they're saying, like, I talked to a musician the other day he's an older guy, and he's like talking about his time and all the greats and all this, but he was saying how he did a studio session, or I think it was a drummer or something like that who was really talented, and they came in and he played, and they were like, man, this guy's so good. They were like, man, too bad he doesn't read music, because they wanted to hire him back. But in order to do studio sessions, you don't know what you're in for. So through years of reading music, you basically acquire the skill of, like, when they call you to come down here, and you might be playing for Britney Spears that day. You don't know the arrangement that she's doing on that, but if you can look at your chart and play everything that's on that chart, boom, boom, pop, boom, bing, it's like all of a sudden now you're playing this new Britney Spears song without even having any previous knowledge. And so it is a requirement in the industry to do music sessions or play at the Grammys, or you want to have these big bands, and they're all reading.
Wow. That makes sense, because they want to be able to just, I mean, that's the thing with, I think in entertainment, is like they want quick, because it costs a lot of money anyways. So if you can do it and prove it, cool.
You can sit in with anybody, you know. So well, tell us a little bit about your testimony. Your background. Give us the scoop.
The scoop. Oh my. All right. So back when I was a young whippersnapper, we were just outside playing.
I was just a little grasshopper.
From Indiana. That's why I have this. Actually, I'm like, someone's like, do you have an accent? And I was like, do I like accents, or do I have one? I was like, I'm from Indiana. Do I sound like I have one? She's like, a little bit. I'm like, do I talk like this?
Oh, is that how you talk in India?
No.
I was like,
I know. I'm probably more. Well, there's a little bit. So my sister maybe will say like a little bit, like, okay.
Oh, okay.
Like, okay, let's go to store. Just some words, but not like all the words.
Just
not
a
like
little slight drawl.
Yeah, little slight drawl.
Okay.
But no, I don't talk like that. So I'm from Indiana.
Nice.
I grew up going to like Catholic church, like for holidays. So this is my faith background. And so like my dad would take me to Catholic church for Easter. We go, I think, Christmas Eve sometimes. But it wasn't until I was about 12 years old, my mom went to like a Wesleyan church, and she made us kids go. And we're like, no, we don't want to go. But we ended up going to this Wesleyan church. But back up a little bit, my dad would do these precious moment prayers with us. So I would pray every night. I'd be like, my prayer every night was like, dear Lord, please help. And I'd name everyone I knew, let them live till 100. That was my dream, which is so weird. Or my dream. I guess that was my dream, that everyone lived for 100. So, but I would pray to God, and then then so I would pray, but then we went to a Wesleyan church, and then I started to learn more about God. And then so I like gave my life to Jesus.
Wow.
And became more serious about being a Christian. Before I was just kind of like, I believed in God, but I wasn't like faithfully following him like my whole life, or like giving him my entire life. And then it wasn't until I go to like church camp and that sort of thing, and I was like, man, God is amazing. There's got to be more, like, because I started to read the Bible. I'm like, wow, there's miracles in the Bible, like, and people would tell me, oh, miracles only happen in the third world countries because like that's where they need it.
Oh,
that was what I heard all the time growing up.
Crazy theology.
I was like, okay. And like tongues to me was weird. Like if I went to a church and they're speaking tongues or like playing with flags, we'd like jet out. We're like, oh, weird. And so it wasn't until I was in college, and when I was in college, I went to a church that was connected with IHOP and Bethel. And a friend of mine was like, come to the IHOP conference with me. And I was like, oh, sure, it sounds great. And so when I got to IHOP, I like got baptized in the Spirit.
Wow.
So I like felt the presence of God in the worship, and I was like, what is this feeling I have? It was kind of freaky, honestly.
Yeah, right.
Because like it literally felt like someone put like an entire weighted blanket on my whole body, and I like couldn't move. I felt so peaceful, which was perfect because I had dealt with anxiety. I had high anxiety on and off, just like some depression, but I try to stay up a level, but when I'd be off by myself, like I just really struggle. I hate the anxiety that makes you feel like you're like dying because it hurts so bad. That's what I would struggle with. And so I just felt the weight of God all over me. And I was just, from then on, I was like, I need to know more of who you are, God. Like I only knew like hardly anything about you. And now I know like you're tangible. Yeah. Instead of just like in the book or like far off in the heaven in the distance and watching me as I'm a little speck down below. Yeah. And so after that, I went to a prayer session at the church that introduced me to IHOP, and they did prayer with me, but it was sozo. So they couldn't call it sozo because they weren't like, they would do like bits and parts of it. Inner healing stuff. Yes, inner healing stuff. So they like broke some stuff off, some generational things, and like some inner healing. And then they're like, you should check out Bethel. And I was like, what's Bethel? And they're like, they have a worship school there. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I do music. I was like, I could see that, but I didn't want to go to school anymore. I was in college. I was like, oh.
You're like, I had enough.
I'm like, enough school. But I ended up looking up Bethel, some videos, and there was an interview of this woman who was like, oh my gosh, I just saw so-and-so got healed. And I was like, wait, what? Wow. And I like rewound. I'm like, wait, are they talking about like, and she's like, she's either talking about eyesight or like a limb grew, something pretty like, for me, I was like, or cancer went away, her cancer went away, something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I literally did a dance in my living room. Like, God, I knew your like miracles were real and like all this stuff. And this was 2010 that I discovered this. So this has probably been going on forever at Bethel. Like healings have been happening, like this, but I didn't know. Yeah. And so I started to talk to other friends about it. Like, yeah, they do healing miracles there. And I was like, what? Why don't people talk about this? Yeah. Like, and I was just like so blown away. And my family was kind of like a little bit concerned, like, okay, you're going to this place in California, like far away. And there's like, were things online where like, it's a cult and all this stuff. Like,
yeah,
so,
right, yeah.
And
they cluck like chickens, bark like dogs.
And while I was in college, I ended up like speaking in tongues and all that stuff. So I like, my family's probably like, who is this person? What has she become? They might still think that. I don't know.
Right. She's straying from the religious teachings we've brought her through, you know.
Yeah, so then I went to Bethel, and then I learned all about, like, I mean, I'm still learning about God every day, but that he's with us, we can talk to him, the Holy Spirit's in us, like, he can bring healing, that he's just, like, everything about, like, life is so much better when I mean, even before I knew about the Holy Spirit, but I literally would pray to God and Jesus. I didn't understand the Holy Spirit. I was like, oh, what is that? Yeah. excuse me. But now I'm like, all three I like respect. They're one. Mm-hmm. They're also like, it's the Trinity. They're one, and they're also separate. I mean, they're not separate, but you know, they're self. They're own. People are gonna be like, "Oh, what's her theology?" You know, when they listen to this, what is she talking about?
The Holy Trinity.
The Holy Trinity.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I, and so here I am. That's like a really vague, brief. So if you have any questions, please ask me. But yeah, and so I'm so grateful for that journey, honestly, of like following God, because like who I was, like even before I moved to Redding in 2011, was like way different than who I am today. Like so much like brokenness. I still have things that I'm working through, and like grievances and things that I'm working with God and getting healing and stuff. But I mean, that's why I've started doing coaching, because I mentioned anxiety.
Yeah, right.
Like, man, it runs in our family a little bit. And so I started doing sozo. I started getting sozoed, and started just hanging out with God, and he'd like do miracle things in my heart. And I'd really process with him, like, why am I feeling this anxiety? It was like, I started to learn I can sit in it for a second instead of like trying to run away from it panically, and be like, okay, God, the truth is you never leave or forsake us. So I know you're not gone. Yeah. But I feel very alone and very like uncomfortable, and I feel like painful, because anxiety can be crippling. It's very painful. Yeah. And through that, God like showed me, okay, it's a fear, and let me show you where that fear's coming from. And so like the roots like would be pulled up, and I mean, I went like, so Donna is my mother-in-law, and Donna De Silva is my mother. So I did sozo. I didn't like, she doesn't like sozo me. Like, we're family. So it's like, we talk as families.
Little Jedi mind trick.
It's like, you will be healed.
You will be healed, child.
Okay, I will be healed. And so she does that. And I'm so thankful for the sozo. And then Ray Light, he does sozo, but then he's created something called identity coaching. So I started doing that. Man, yeah. Have you done the identity coaching? It's amazing.
So yeah,
it helps with walls.
Yeah. First of all, I went to something. Let me just backtrack.
Yeah.
I went through something insanely traumatic, probably about 2013, I want to say. And it was so traumatic that I had gaps in my memory. I didn't know what days were what, to the point where I was getting calls from like Bethel, my leadership team at Bethel, like, hey, where are you? You're supposed to show up at this time. And they were like, you're supposed to be here like 2.5 hours ago. And I was like, oh, no, I don't come in till Wednesday. They're like, yeah, you're not here. And they're like, and I was like, no, it's like Tuesday. And then they're like, no, it's Wednesday. And so this kept happening over and over, to where they kind of called me in the office, sat me down, was like, hey, we realizing this thing is probably a lot more serious than you are, realizing, and would you like to get some counseling, and Bethel will pay for a session, and I was like, I just broke down in tears, like, I would love to. And they said, we're going to connect you with Donna. And good. That's when I talked to Donna. She says, Kelly, I'm going to get you the best person we have on our team at the Transformation Center, and his name is Ray Light. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. And my session went 3.5 to 4 hours. Wow, yeah. I was late to move to LA because of that session. Wow. But it was worth it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I love the inner healing. So the identity coaching. I actually did a session with him not too long ago, and I want to do another one. But that's so that's a little bit of what you're doing when we talk about dreams coach. Is that more kind of how you got into it, was through the identity coaching? It was. So I changed the name. Okay. Because the Faith by Grace is what Ray's organization was like, we want to put you on our team. And I was like, so they wanted to do something coach, because they have identity coaching, they have other things like that. Yeah. And so I'm like, we decided on Dreams Coach. Dreams Coach. Yeah, okay. Dreams Coach. And it's perfect, because I not only do like inner healing in a dreams coaching session, I also will strategize with the client, and we also talk about dreams, like nighttime dreams. Oh, so, nighttime dreams. Okay. So we'll talk about daytime dreams, nighttime dreams, and then so we'll talk about those two things, and those usually lead to an inner healing
type of thing.
Wow.
Because a lot of clients will be like, I feel like every day I don't get anything done, or I feel stuck, like I have this dream, but I'm not ever gonna get there because every day goes by and I'm not working towards it. So we're like, okay, there's something there. So we go to this point and we go down to the root of what's going on in that situation. And I call it coaching. I do some life coaching, but it actually is more inner healing stuff, honestly. So, but yeah, because that's what happened to me. Like I felt so overwhelmed all the time. Like because I have so many different things I want to do I got to a point where I literally threw like all the things I want to get done on a big poster board. And I was like, sat there and I was like, oh my gosh. And I heard the Holy Spirit say, why don't you ask me what things you should prioritize right now? Ooh. And I was like, okay. So I looked and then I kept, no. And then I saw like literally like pop out and like circle it. And there's like 3 things. He's like, finish those and then we'll go back to the board and then do the rest. Okay. And that's how I came up with strategizing. So I call it like a strategy session. And that's why the coaching side came into the inner healing side with my sessions. Okay. I'm like, I can help you with this. It's literally listening to the Holy Spirit. That's like what Dreams Coaching is. Like, let's find out what God is saying right now. And I always encourage clients to learn how to do that on their own because it's the relationship with God. Like I basically am just like in Sozo, like you guide them, walk them with them as God tells them where to go. And that's what I do in my coaching sessions because that again, like is what, has helped me with anxiety. Like I used to have it so much. Like now it's like very rare that I have anxiety and I can usually get to it. If I can't, I'll get like a deliverance or like Sozo or like identity coaching because we are meant to be a community and get help from each other. Yeah. Not do everything on our own.
Not self-help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Self-help Christianity. I'm reading that right now. Yeah. The 7 resolutions.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't.
I think something Klaus is his last name. And it talks about how we live in a time of self-help Christianity where a lot of us have maybe got to the Tony Robbins teachings and different things. Nothing wrong with Tony Robbins. He's awesome. I'm sure he loves God and everything. Yeah. But we try to do everything on our own, which is like, anti, dependency on God. It's anti-codependency and it's more independent mindset. And like, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to get better. I'm going to pick myself up by the bootstraps, but everything can't be done by just picking yourself up by the bootstraps. We need to learn to stop and go, God, like, what do you want to do? Yes. Take over, take full control. Yeah. Lead me.
Yeah. That makes me think of something that God has really woken me up, like been like, Colleen, you need to pay attention to this, is that I can get so like, oh, this tool, that tool, I'm going to do this on myself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to heal. I'm going to do this. And God has like given me a dream and showed me like, Colleen, sometimes and anytime, actually, you can do this anytime. And all the things that the tools will do for your heart, God can do just Him. Wow. Just focus on God, worship Him, like have that relationship with Him, and He will work those things out. Yeah. And maybe it is like, because He can do miracle healings. Like that happens too. Like obviously there's tools, just like with doctors, like there's a doctor who can help you and heal you. God can also heal you. But I think what's happened, like what you're saying is like that kind of a culture of self-help is like you're forgetting about the community. Yes. But also forgetting that God is the most powerful. Yeah. He created us. He is the powerful. He is the one. And like, we can rely on Him on that. And it can be scary sometimes because you're relying on something that you have to have faith in a lot of times, but He is the powerful one. So
yeah, I think so. I think we were made, God designed us for relationship, for intimacy. I mean, look at the garden, He created Adam, but He saw that he was alone. So then He created a woman. Yeah. So that, man should not be alone. Yeah. And then He had this relationship with the man and the woman where they walked with Him at the cool of the day. And then they, tended to the land, the animals. And it was like this whole unified picture. And a lot of times, there's a lot of things in culture today where it's kind of anti-codependency. It's more like independent. You even heard like stuff in the like mid-2000s, I'm an independent woman, maybe even the late 90s, independent woman, there's songs about it. And so we didn't think it would bring us to the point to where like now relationships are in shambles because like the independent woman thing kind of turned into like feminism. which was like anti-relationship, anti-family. And it was just like, I can do it on my own. I don't need this. And then like, now we have this like really like this huge hole in like relationships are down, marriages are down. It's like you look at the numbers, you're like, what is happening to society? People aren't connecting. There's all these movements like MGTOW, I guess it's like men going their own way. Feminism, where women are essentially going their own way. So it's like, well, if nobody's coming together, then what's happening? So I think we live in a society where a lot of it's promoted like, do it on your own. But then we're slowly getting rid of community, connection, all that stuff. Like we're meant to be connected with God. Like we're meant to like, especially when you become a Christian. I think John Eldridge talks a bit about this, like how once you become a Christian, like you're no longer living a normal life. It's like he was talking about a friend who didn't want to ask God where they should go for vacation because he just wanted to go to Hawaii. Yeah. He's like, I just want to go to Hawaii. I don't want to ask the Lord. But he felt that conviction, like, ask God where you should go. You should take your family this year. And it ended up being somewhere, slightly different. But there was a reason for it. God has a purpose and a reason for everything. And so we're meant to live that kind of relationship. When I was younger, going through BSSM, I would get up in the morning and go, Lord, what should I wear today? What should I wear? What should I eat? Just certain things. It's like, why don't you just go do that yourself? But it's like, no, I just loved talking with him. And little did I know that would stimulate this connection that was so strong, where when it came time to minister, I ministered out of this overflow of constant communion and connection to where some people were like, hey, I think you might be a prophet. And for a season, I thought I was a prophet because I would give these prophetic words that were so like crazy and spot on that I started to think like people were like, "Yeah, you might be a prophet." Some of the Chris Valentin would be like, "Hey, I think I'm a prophet. I want to go to school, prophets and learn." He was like, "Oh, you're not a prophet." It's like, "Oh, thanks." Bubble. But I thank God for that because he's like, "No, you're just operating strongly in the gifts." And I thought, maybe it's just because of this relationship thing with the Lord and also your leadership. I was under him. And so a bit of that mantle can also come passed down to you a bit, but it doesn't mean you're a prophet, And so anyhow, all that to say is everything came through relationship. And I think we were made for a relationship,
Yeah.
So
I think so too. And I love that you like, because same thing for me. Once I was baptized in the Holy Spirit, I was like, I want to know who you are. I'd be like, okay, what do you want to do today? I'd get in my car sometimes, be like, okay, tell me when to turn. And I'd like turn right and then turn left. And then I'd go knock on someone's door. Sometimes I was like so bold. I'd be like, I just wanted to say God loves you. Or like God be like, give them $10 bill or something. I just love that like relationship. And I still do that occasionally, but I think I was like more like on like, I don't know, it's just that it was perfect that I was doing that then, because like you said, it was really like putting my relationship first and also teaching me how to discern and know his voice. So later in like now, like I'm still discerning that, but I can tell even more each day, like, oh, that's discernment, like, oh, that's not you, God, or oh, that's you. And that also the Bible helps in that, because that guides me in the truth of his nature and so many things. And also like deliverance, like with, spiritual atmosphere shifting and also what authority I do have in the atmosphere and what I don't need to like touch on. It's a whole other subject. I have to tell you that.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I want to get
I know. It's like, so much but that's like a big other conversation.
We'll have to have you back on.
Yeah, I'd love Corey. To be. Yes, we'll bring Corey. Okay. That'd be great. Yeah, I would love that. So I think that's like the main thing with dreams coaching is listening to the Holy Spirit.
That's awesome.
And I which is good, because I literally like, they don't go well if I don't like, if we're not on the same page.
It's all spirit led.
Yeah, it's spirit led.
One thing I noticed with Ray when I first went to him, I noticed that everything was all spirit led, because there was for a certain area of trauma, he had to pray about who to invite, the Father, the Son, or the Holy Spirit. And so sometimes it'd be like, Holy Spirit, what are you saying over the situation? when we go to another corner of trauma or another vein of pain. And so sometimes it would be Jesus, the Son, and sometimes it'd be the Father. It was maybe I had a wound from my father, and so then we invite Father God into the situation. It was really incredible. But you're right. I think that none of it could have happened if we weren't like in this deep place with the Holy Spirit. Like everything was Spirit led. So
yeah, it's fun. I love helping. I love inner healing and walking people through. It's good. Good stuff.
Really quick, something we like to ask everybody who comes on the show is, what does worship mean to you, and how do you worship God in your everyday life?
Worship means to me that it's just how you live in a way of like how you focus on Him or how you hand things to Him. So a daily life for me would be, if I'm worshiping God, is like thanking Him throughout the day, recognizing certain moments in the day, like, oh wow, you got me that parking spot, thank you, God. Like paying attention to Him, like recognizing Him. And also, I mean, if it's not going well, like having that conversation with Him, I feel like that's worship. It's like the relationship is worship. Thanking Him is the worship.
Right.
Recognizing Him in certain moments is worship. Being a mom to my son is worship. Loving my husband is worship.
Yeah.
Loving the neighbor is worship. Playing worship music is worship. Dancing to worship music. So just really like recognize. I think it's the word recognizing Him, because that can include like the thankfulness, the like conversations with Him. Yeah. That to me is worship. Yeah. Which for a long time I felt like I had to work to worship, but like I said, like even kissing on my little boy and like making him laugh, like being goofy, like I feel like God delights in that. 100%. So that to me is worship. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Sometimes worship for me is just sitting in front of a body of water or ocean and just hearing God through the waves and the nature.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, sometimes
I love the ocean.
Yeah, sometimes
being quiet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and still before God. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's actually where I heard the Lord. I would sometimes hear the Lord speak the most. Right in front of the ocean.
Yeah, I believe that. The ocean is so powerful. I love going there. When I go there, I feel that way too. I feel like it reminds you how big the world is, but how big God is. Yeah. And how constant. And the stillness that you're talking about makes me think of when I put my son down for a nap, and sometimes he like struggles, I don't want to do it. And then finally when he falls asleep and he's like laying on me and it's quiet in the room, I like can feel God's presence, and I'm like silent before Him, and that's when I've been getting revelation from Him, and like He's been sharing things with me, and it's that silence, that stillness is really powerful because you're making room for Him.
I love that.
So
that's awesome.
The ocean, I love the ocean.
Yeah.
I really do. My mom and I are going to Florida soon, and I'm like, ocean all the time. I mean, we live by the ocean, but it's so hard to get there. That's so with the baby. But I will. But yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. I like that. That's cool. Awesome. That's awesome, Kelly.
Come on. Cool. Well, where can people find your teachings, your website? Yeah, where can they find all that stuff at?
So you can sign up for Dreams Coaching in 3 different places. You can message me on social media, like on Instagram, and I can set you up. But also I work through this Bethel Transformation Center. Yeah, so I'm on there now.
Very cool.
And I'm also on byfaithbygrace.org.
Yes, I was going to say, I saw you on the website there.
Yeah, so you can, that might be, both are great. It might be easier if you're just wanting to quickly sign up, because with Sozo you do have to do a form because they want to match you really well. That's right. Yeah. You can request me. So any of these, and then also if you message me, I'll set you up through email with me just privately. So any of those work. Honestly. You can find this journal on Amazon.
Right there.
Currently. So just you can, I have my full entire name there, but you can look up Colleen De Silva and it'll pop up. But I have my 2 middle names, Julia McShay, on there.
Colleen Julia McShay De Silva. Girl, you got 4 names too. I'm joking.
Yes, I do.
That's so great.
So, and then, yeah. Then if you follow me on Instagram, though, you can get all the updates.
Yeah.
So it's Colleen J. De Silva.
And then where can they go to find Coffee with Colleen?
Yes, you can find it on Colleen J. De Silva, my Instagram, or you can go to my YouTube, which is Colleen De Silva.
Okay.
Yeah. So
perfect.
I know, because you are on one of my Coffee with Colleen. So.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. And I haven't done it in a while, but I've been thinking about putting it back up.
Okay.
Like doing it again.
You got to do it.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll bring you on again. Because our conversation, we did not finish.
Yeah.
Because we were like, oh, we got to end it here. But
we had technical difficulties. And
oh, my gosh. Yeah. Yes, we did. Well, thanks so much, Kelly.
Bless you.
Yeah, bless you.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah.
And we'll have you back again.
Yes. And we'll bring the hubs.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Great.
All right. Bless you, Colleen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.